So, my topic, can you hear me well?
Yes, yes, I can. We can all hear you. Yeah, yeah.
So, my topic is positive health in midlife. So, this is a topic that
Mm.
is very dear to my heart because we talk of childhood and we talk of adolescence, and then when we speak of midlife, we sort of jump to menopause. But
Yeah.
there is a middle path, there is a middle age.
Absolutely.
And that middle age is the age that joins early adulthood to late adulthood. So those in middle age play a central role in the lives of those who are younger and older at home. They play a central part in the workplace and in society at large. Thus, a focus on promoting health and well-being in middle age can have a far-reaching impact. This is what we need to really understand. And at the outset, I would like our doctors themselves to get motivated. All of us who are practicing, we have reached 30 plus. What period is midlife? That is a very big question. Midlife, if you see the US study of midlife, they have started above 50. But if you go back in the 14th and 15th century, there was not much mention. But from the 16th and century art, you will see that life has been depicted in a circle. And the top of the circle, it divided into decades, into 10 decades. And at 50 is the acme, which is the center of middle life. And this is really strange because at that time the life expectancy was all of 50 years. So the bull is at 30 years, where it represents strength. There is a lion at the age of 40, which depicts courage, and there is fox at 50. What it means is that when you're a young adult, you have a lot of strength. But as you cross through midlife, there is a compromise in your strength, but there is an increase in your experience. So that experience can take the place of brute strength. In the Renaissance period, midlife was taken as the peak of human life. That is the time where there is maximum achievement, there is maximum control over yourself and the elements. Now we come up to the early 20th century. Even in the writings of Stanley Hall, he has divided, this is a book that he wrote when he was 78 years of age. And he has written that life is divided into 5 parts: childhood, then adolescence from puberty to full nubility. Then there is the middle life or the prime, when we are at the apex of our aggregate of powers, ranging from 25 or 30 to 45 and comprising 15 to 20 years, which are commonly called our best. Then there is the senescence and then the senectitude. So if you come to the conclusion, when is midlife? Given the high degree of variability with age periods in terms of health, well-being, and functioning across multiple domains, chronological age may not be the best anchor for identifying what is midlife. Midlife may be better considered in terms of roles, mentor, parent, timing of life events, and life experience. So, when here we are talking of midlife, it is when we are now settled in a certain profession. What is a midlife crisis, and is midlife crisis even true? In 1960 and 70, there came a who started saying that there is a midlife crisis, there is a menopausal syndrome where people go through depression and anxiety and tantrums. So there was a research which is still ongoing in the US, 94 to 96, 2004 to 2006, and the phase is still running. And what they found was that this midlife crisis does not exist. the problems that are happening in this age are also happening at other ages. And so midlife crisis as such does not happen. So what is the consensus opinion? That we need to make an investment in understanding the ways to optimize the middle years, which can have a lot, a far reaching value for younger and older, because it is the middle aged people who are looking after the youngsters and their parents are still alive and they are looking after the other generation. They are a bridge. And there have been n number of studies that show that if somebody is stressed in childhood, they have a lot of diseases when they are adults. Similarly, if there are certain problems in midlife which we ourselves should be able to take care of and do not, then we will not be as functional when we are in our old age. So what are the topics that are included? The topics that are included here in midlife, which we have to take care of, are aging, arthritis and bone health, cancer, which Dr. Neerja will be dealing, cardiovascular health, cognitive and physical functioning, reproductive endocrinology, nutrition, obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, ovarian aging, mental health, sexuality, sleep, and quality of life. These are all issues that are required. Some of them, what exactly is aging? What do we understand by aging and when does it start? Aging is when you have reached your peak in physical and mental performance. But again, this is a very tricky word because now it has been proved that as age goes on increasing, your mental performance increases. Okay, there may be a little bit of effect on the memory, but mental performance is going to go on increasing. But the physical performance, there is going to be a decline. The basal metabolic rate, which is highest at the age of 25 years, decreases by 2% each year. And whatever number of calories you require to maintain a fixed weight at the age of 25, once you cross 45, you will be requiring 200 calories less. But we are all eating and we don't really calculate in this manner. And therefore, the basal metabolic rate is going down. The gradual increase in weight is taking place. Muscles are getting a little bit weaker because now we come to the next point, and that is arthritis and bone health. Even in aging, your eyes become a little weaker. Sometimes your hearing is a little bit of a problem. You get different kind of peripheral neuritis and rashes and itching. After 35, you'll get rash, more of sunburn, more of eczema and all. So these are all age-related changes. And now it has been proved that early childhood, if there is a lot of stress involved, then these autoimmune disorders increase in midlife. So life is a continuum. It is not, you cannot divide it into years and days and months. It is a continuum, and we need to learn to have a proper growth pattern where the children are nurtured. As Dr. Shobha Gudi has just said, each child should be wanted. Because if the child is wanted, in that case, the nurture will be better. So the stress will be less. And then we will have healthier young adults and healthier next generation. So aging, next comes arthritis and bone health. When we come to arthritis and bone health, this is a chart that all of us know very well. There is active growth in the bones. There is osteoclastosis and osteoblastosis, and it's in a balance. But around the age of 20 to 25 years is when we attain maximum bone density. And after that, it is a downhill trend. Up to the age of 30, 35 years of age, till then, still what is happening? that you are losing bone, but you are also putting it back. The total loss is less. But 5 years preceding menopause, more so in the 2 years preceding menopause and the 5 years after it, you lose more than 50% of your bone. So this happens, and when the bone is lost, then there is weakness in the muscle, there is loss of strength, there is 1 centimeter loss of height after the age of 45 years every 10 years. So all this is happening. And what can we do for prevention? What this tells you is that you need to start activities right from the age of 30. And if you do not wake up to 35, then once you get into the downhill trend, it is very difficult to maintain. So let us think of midlife starting when our basal metabolic rate has started going down, when our osteoblastic and osteoclastic activity are in balance no more, and therefore we need to make efforts to help them balance so that our bone mass is maintained and we retain our height and our strength and our mobility. Because after a certain age, what you find is that the aches and pains that happen in our country because of undernutrition, because of the dark color of the skin, there is vitamin D deficiency, there is calcium deficiency, and there is more of bone loss. In that case, strength is lost, height is lost, aches and pains are there, and arthritis can occur. At the age of 45, in a study in the United States, 39% women said that they have gross limitation of activity. If you do not want that to happen at 45, then you need to be alert and start preventing at the age of 30 and 35. That is where you do for yourself, and that is what you advise your patients, whether they are coming for contraception or for infertility, because we will be dealing with the positive things that we can do in midlife to maintain a positive health status. Cancer, Dr. Neerja Bhatla will be dealing. Cardiovascular health. Again, as aging sets in, there is inflammation sets in and vascular health is compromised. Estrogen has a great protective effect, but as the ovarian function gradually starts diminishing, as Dr. Nandita said, even after the age of 35, it starts diminishing. So that is when estrogen levels go down and your cardiovascular risk goes up. And we now know that even supplementing estrogen does not protect you from cardiovascular risk. You have to start in your 30s by maintaining a good lipid level, good level of exercise, and a normal blood pressure, a normal metabolism. When this is maintained, then your cardiovascular health is maintained even into your later years. Cognitive and physical functioning. Physical functioning, we are all aware, as aging occurs, a little more pain in bending, a little less strength in your arms, and a little bit of memory loss. But this can be offset by good exercise and because of experience. Even when there is cognitive loss, you can get specs, you can have a hearing aid, and more importantly, don't expose yourself to very loud sounds. Don't use earphones all the time. Give your eyes a rest when you are using the screen for a long time, and exercise every single day of your life. That is absolutely necessary. Now, when you say physical functioning, you need to exercise your joints, you need to exercise your muscles. There has to be some weight-bearing exercise as well to maintain muscles. Gynecology and reproductive endocrinology. This middle age is the time when women will come to you with infertility, as Dr. Nandita has said, but other than that, endometriosis, then fibroids, and also different kind of cancers, even vulval diseases, so precancers. All this has to be examined thoroughly in a patient. So once a lady reaches 30 years of age, once a year, she should have a thorough physical examination. Not just the test. Today it is a trend, they get a list of blood tests done from some lab and they say, dekh lijiye, humne total body checkup kara liya. That is not the answer. What you need is a thorough physical examination of the patient. I will not be touching upon cancer, which Dr. Neerja will be dealing with. But other than that, a thorough physical examination and ultrasound is mandatory in a woman who is beyond 30 years of age. Because if you can detect a problem early, you can treat it early, and the results are much better. Next, we come to the nutrition, obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome. As I told you, the children who have not been able to stand the stress in their early lives are the ones who are more prone to metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome proceeds to diabetes and polycystic ovarian diseases. Then there is malnutrition, which could be obesity as well as extreme thinness. So information about a healthy diet is required, and metabolic syndrome has to be managed early on with diet, exercise, so that the patient does not progress to overt diabetes very early. A good nutrition and good exercise is mandatory to manage the all of midlife. Then we come to menopause and ovarian aging. Ovarian aging has already been dealt with by Dr. Nandita and Dr. Shobha Guri. So menopause we are not touching on right here because it is an event where menstruation stops and has remained stopped for an year. This could be surgical, it could be medical. And when we say surgical menopause, we have to understand that when you cause an early menopause, as is given in our textbook, Child Operative Surgery, Operative Gynecology, it says that if you remove the uterus and ovaries at a certain age, then your body understands that you have attained menopause, and your bone age over 5 years will attain the age that it would have after normal menopause. So removing uterus and ovaries at 35 or 40, in that case, if she is destined to have menopause at 50, at the age of 45, her bones will be 55 years of age. And so until the age of 50, we should not be afraid of giving hormonal replacement therapy. Of course, we have to be very careful. We also have to give lifestyle support. We have to give dietary support, exercise, but hormonal replacement up till the age of natural menopause has to be given. Mental health. Many women come to you at this age, beyond 35, 40, 45, they will keep saying, I get irritated, I get angry too much. But please understand, though attacks of depression can happen, but normal irritability, getting more angry has nothing to do with menopause. It is your maladjustment. It is a neurotic disposition, which has nothing to do with menopause or with midlife. Because this is the age where you are at your prime, and if symptoms occur, a psychiatric consultation should be sought without delay. Next, we come to the question of sexuality. When we come to sexuality, then this is an age where sexuality is very much present, and problems that can be there more because of the presence of any comorbid condition. Maybe a simple obesity would also interfere with the sexuality. Then we come to sleep. There is definitely sleep deprivation because there are small children to look after, or there are teenagers to look after, and there are elderly parents, and there is your job in which you're doing really well. So you have sleep deprivation to the extent that you are unable to sleep. And then there are quality of life issues. So ultimately, what is most important in the menopause, in the midlife, is that your quality of life should be good. So if quality of life has to be good, what has to be done? This is an article from NPR, 8 ways you can survive and thrive in midlife. That unless there is a meaning rather than short-term happiness, you would not be happy. So aim for a long-term meaning in life rather than short-term happiness. Today I have to cook breakfast is not the end. Choose what matters most. Lead into fear and not boredom. That means challenge yourself. Do something that you have wanted to do but have not done it. At every stage in life, you should be a rookie at something. Keep learning every day. Add punctuation to your life. That means if there is a break, if things happen that you have not planned, give yourself a break. A few setbacks are just what the doctor ordered. Means if there is a setback, you learn to overcome it and you get more strength. Pay attention to your children, to your spouses, to your families, because the so-called midlife crisis, where there were a lot of divorces and extramarital affairs, was because of boredom and mutual neglect. So you need to pay attention to your families. And happiness is love. So pay attention to the people in your family, love them, spend time with them, and this corona is giving you a chance to do all of that. Happiness is love. That is full stop. And if you can do this, you are going to improve the quality of your life. And if your quality of life is improved, if, as psychology has said over and over again, that if you have a low stress factor, if you have no depression, if on a scale of 1 to 10, you score more on the positive side, you are going to be positive in your menopause, beyond menopause, and right up to your 70s. So midlife is the period where you can look after yourself, advise your patients to look after themselves starting age 30 and 35. Get into good habits. Today and over the 20 years that I've been doing this, when you ask women who are in their midlife, who are in the peak of their careers, how much time they are giving to themselves, and the answer is invariably zero. Their time is burdened with everything else. So they have to learn to give themselves time for exercise, time for meditation, time for their own interests, and priority to themselves. If you don't give priority to yourself, nobody else is going to give it. Then having happy midlife individuals is what is going to lead us into happy elderly people who are more self-sufficient, who are able to live independently and happily. So with this, I thank you all. And this is a very unconventional topic, but I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for this beautiful talk on positivity in midlife. Actually, it was really wonderful because most often we talk about the usual things, the menopausal problems, and mainly the prevention, the medical prevention, like vitamin D and calcium and all that. But you have brought out the other aspect of it, of how to look at it positively, and sort of proceed ahead in life in a positive way so beautifully, madam. I think it was a really wonderful lecture, and I think everyone must have enjoyed it. Thank you. And I would just like to add here that Madam is going to be contesting for the post of the Midlife Committee Chairperson. So she needs all your support. So thank you. And I would just like to move on to the next person before questions, because Dr. Nirja Bhatla Madam has some other collaborations with her FIGO counterparts, and so therefore I think I would like to proceed with the next topic, and